Welcome to the 8th program of the T-Row Show. I'm your host, Keith. We have Stu and Tony. Say hello, fellers.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Thanks for listening.
Okay, yeah, actually, by saying that, it's amazing. We've gained between 50 and 75 new subscribers this week. So that's amazing. We really do appreciate the other folks that are promoting the program and the information that is being imparted here. We really, really do appreciate it, guys. The listenership is doubling almost every week. So we have a lot to talk about today. You guys we hope you enjoy it. The information that you're about to get, it is the real deal as far as we're concerned, and we don't like to bring out any theories on this program. We like to bring out facts and show everyone what we've learned and share with everyone in our research and new realizations that we have all experienced. So that's basically what we're doing here. Okay, what we have a couple of interesting tidbits. Remember, guys, they were talking about the rainbow money.
Yes.
Yep.
I did not know where that came from. It blew my mind. I was like, where is this rainbow thing coming? Well, I found something that may attribute to that. Okay, and I don't know about anybody else, but I've read Pandora's Box and then Pandora's Box 2, and this is by Alex Christopher. And the information in those books is priceless, by the way. I mean, absolutely priceless. That all the research was done, all the records were found, all this stuff was a matter of public record. The lady that went in and got all these documents had to go in there and was chased out a couple of times at gunpoint. I mean, I'm surprised that she hasn't been killed and getting a lot of this information. I mean, it's a matter of public record, but yet they want to shoot you if you get it, right? So, what I found was in her book, I found in South Africa, in Johannesburg, it was talking about Pope John Paul II. And he appealed yesterday for religious and ethnic warfare to give way to dialogue and agreement. A new dawn has risen. The Pope said at an outdoor mass attended by 100,000 people. They expected 400,000, but there was only 100,000. He says, become what you want to be, the rainbow people of God. That's the key phrase. So the rainbow money is another religious script. Just like they have today with the Illuminati money. That's what everybody uses today. But he's called the rainbow people of God. So they're talking about rainbow money. So that's why all of our different colors that we have, everybody thought it was rainbow currency. That's not what it was, but they thought it was they thought it was attributed to this. Just want to let you know. I thought that was interesting.
Yep. So it's important to read what's on the bill. The United States of America.
Right. And we have, and speaking of that, we're talking about the tort claim. We've had over 20 more people sign the tort claim, by the way, on the online signature page, which is on reignoftheheavens.com. And remember, I was telling people, I said, they're still working for the Virginia company. And then when you read the history of the Virginia company, it'll say, well, it was over in 1641 or something like that. It was way over then. So these guys must be crazy. Well, George Washington used to work for the Ohio company, which was started, I think, by his brothers. And it was a survey company, by the way. And the Virginia company, the monarchs overseas love to hide who owns what. So according to Alex Christopher, this is what she says about it. It says, the earlier formed company by the name of the Virginia Company was in need of some revamping, and it was time for a name change and some reorganization for the company owned by the King of England, and it still is. Okay, now I have an issue with that, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Another effort to hide ownership and to give people false hope of freedom from an outside controlling monarch in this country. The United States of America has for some time been owned by the Crown of England, and the Declaration of Independence did not set us, the common people, free from outright ownership of this country by the original 48 controlling families of Europe. The Virginia Company was renamed the United States of America, a corporation, and body politic, a Southern-based corporation. The owners remain the same, name just changed. The owners remain the same, the name just changed. The United States of America, and that's lowercase t, the 1789. So here we are. Soon after the new incorporation of the Company of the United States of America, a proposal for a federal town for deliberations of the Continental Congress were made in 1789. John Adams, presiding officer of the Senate, cast the deciding vote that the body for the Germantown, Pennsylvania. In 1790, Congress compromised in making Philadelphia the temporary capital for 10 years. The former and still present Virginia Company members of the House wanted a capital on the eastern bank of the Potomac. They were defeated by the Northerners, while the Southerners defeated the Northern attempt to have a nation assume the war debts of the original 13 states. The Assumption Bill fathered by Alexander Hamilton. Hamilton and Jefferson arranged a compromise. The Virginia men voted for the Assumption Bill, and the Northerners conceded the capital to the Potomac. President Washington chose the site in October 1790 and persuaded landowners to sell their holdings to the new government at about $66 an acre. These areas of land that Washington chose were about 30 square miles of land west of the Potomac. The city's present territory belonged to Maryland, and land west of the river was part of Virginia. The two states turned over the territory to the federal government, a corporation, and body politic. So that tells you quite a bit, just little things of their of its history, and the fact that you're dealing with a company, and which brings us over to the tort claim. Why we're working with this, and we have to bring this down to a level of understanding to where when people think about it, they can bring it in, and it can bring it into their own lives, because this thing is so big and massive that it's hard to grasp unless we bring it to a basic service supplier-customer relationship.
Yeah, and they've got a big head start.
Yeah. So okay, let's bring this down to a level of lawn care. People in Florida love their lawn care services. Now, if you want to, anybody can make it in lawn care service in Florida, no matter how many lawn care services there are. It's amazing how much you can do. You can gain 20, 25 customers within a week if you put out enough flyers. And these are people that want you to come cut their lawn for a week, or every week. And you can charge them anywhere from $20, $25, depend on each cut. And you do very well. You don't mind the heat. You don't mind doing that kind of work. So here we go. So you have a customer. A customer owns the house. You have a lawn care guy or girl, woman. That would be your servicer, providing the service. Then you have the supplier. Okay, the lawn care guy, the servicer, needs a supplier. He needs a mower. He needs weed eaters. He needs edgers. He needs blowers. He needs string for the weed eater. He needs gas and stuff for the mower. He needs pieces and parts for it. all these kinds of things. So you have suppliers. That's what suppliers do. They supply servicers to service customers. And around you go. So this being the case, let's turn this into a very creepy scenario. What if the supplier started supplying the contract between the servicer and the customer? What if the supplier supplied a government's body, politic, between the servicer and the supplier? I'm sorry, the customer. What if the supplier started charging for the paper that the contract and the ink that the contract was written on? And what if a supplier gave a line of credit to the servicer for the parts, and the servicer began to renege on the supplier's bill and charged more credit, and the credit bill got higher and higher? Then the servicer says, my customer's not paying me, I can't pay you. So the supplier creates a martial law to force the customer to pay the servicer. So the servicer will pay the supplier. So let's imagine this scenario. The customer won't supply the servicer with a customer number. They refuse. Start talking about religious rights. So the servicer tells the supplier, well, they're claiming religious rights. So now the supplier doesn't have a record of that customer. So it gets worse and worse and worse, and now the servicer is over there cutting the customer's lawn. The customer can't fire the servicer anymore. That's domestic terrorism, and that they believe they're a sovereign citizen. And the house is surrounded by tanks and guys in black uniforms and everything else every time the servicer comes over to that house, because that customer is a danger to society. Does that make sense now?
Makes sense, and it sounds creepy.
Very creepy scenario, but that's what's happened. So the Confederacy in 1781 was a servicer looking to be supplied so they could level out what was being produced and what was being redistributed to others to help others, and then, so everybody would have peace. And the states were refusing to supply the Confederacy in 1781. They were refusing it so much that they wouldn't even give them a capital city. They had to keep going around from city to city and meet in different places. That's how stingy those the original 13 states were. They wanted a central government, but don't give them any capital. Don't give them a place to stay. Don't give them anything. They'll just have to do it on their own. So in that scenario, another party comes in called the East India Trading Company and says, we'll supply your central government. That's all that happened. Now, the suppliers that were coming in doing this, they had a little bit to do with the Confederacy failing. Just a little bit. Because the same company that was supplying, because they had to change the name, remember? They had to change the name to the United States of America. The same company that was supplying that did, in fact, give itself a monopoly on tea, which pissed off the colonists, because they were able to create or make tea cheaper than the colonists could do. So they were like, "Oh, well, you're just putting us out of business. So what are we going to do now?" At the same time, the king was saying, "Oh, you don't like that? Okay, we're going to give you, we're going to require you give us gold then." So he was being a jackass about it. And that same company started that revolution, supplied both sides as a supplier of the revolution, decided who was going to win so they could have another sovereign entity and create another, a sovereign country to do business with that they could control as a supplier. That same organization today is called United States. The same servicer is called the United States of America, the 1789 style, format of the name. And today, that same servicer and supplier requires, under Title 42, Section 666, a Social Security number for everything you do. And the reason why that is because the supplier wants to be able to make sure that the servicer gets the service and or the product over to the customer. Seems harmless, but they also want to stick you with a bill. And those bills are paid on what people call taxes. So the problem you're having is the servicer is not servicing the people. The product is not getting to the customer. The servicer became the slave of the supplier. The United States of America, District of Columbia, became the slave of Manhattan Island. And the servicer knows that if he's ignoring his customers, he's going to piss off his customer. And believe me, all the customers are pissed off. So the more this scenario happens, they get supplied with more military hardware, more protection, more this, more that. And now you have what you call a police state. So the government of the United States of America is the original country. If you want this government to survive, or you want a government to survive that serves the people, then the people have to be the supplier. Have to supply that government with the means of protecting the country, and not rely on some third party or fourth party. Now, I don't know about you guys, man. I appreciate y'all just listening, the other hosts listening while I'm talking about this. It's getting worse, and it's not getting better. The people today are being conditioned for a dictatorship. They are absolutely praising, on their hands and knees, bowing. And this is divine providence, and all these things for a president of a company, service company, by the way, to sit there and write executive orders. There's no acts in Congress that have been reversed, no nothing. More executive orders are being written. And people are being conditioned for that dictatorial condition.
I would agree with that. And the technique that's being implemented is that Trump, as an example, comes in and issues executive orders. Basically, he's done nothing else for the first week of being in office or so. But those executive orders aren't controversial. They have the philosophical backing, so to speak, of most of the American populace. So, they let it go. They go, yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But wait for, a year and a half from now, 2.5 years from now, when those executive orders still continue to flow. but now they're, running against the grain.
You got a major problem coming.
Mm-hmm.
Because people have been conditioned to it. Yep. They think it's okay for a president of a company to sit there and write executive orders. That's only supposed to happen during major emergencies, guys, and I'm talking about if the country is ever attacked. It's not about, we gotta monopolize business here and there. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous what's happening here. So the key to this is on the local level, you have a supplier that's gone ape, violating all kinds of human rights and everything else when they're making ordinances that ban people from growing their own food.
Collecting rainwater.
For grandma to grow her own food. Can't even grow a turnip. A carrot. It's ridiculous, isn't it? That's when you have a supplier that's a problem. And that supplier has gone crazy with his power. Crazy with it. And they've gone to a point where they don't realize anymore that this earth does not belong to them. They believe everything that, that all belongs to them and it's all theirs and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. I mean, the big move now is it not? I hope there's still people fighting for it, but the big move now is they're trying to privatize water, right? Isn't that what part of Detroit's situation last year was? That they went in and, in my opinion, I can't document it, but they tainted the water for a while and then let it out that the water was tainted, and then they step in and say, well, to solve this problem, we can give it, we can give it to private companies. And who is it? It's Nestle and all those food manufacturers that step in and
same servicers. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Same servicers, same people. And they create they create the scenario and come up with a solution. And, away you go. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have trouble, and this was the difference. This was the 1986 letter. And by the way, we have no issues with the IRS at all. We're not going to sit there and argue over Social Security numbers and all that because we have our own SAM cards. We have our own numbers that we work with under our own acts. American nationals do. So, just wanted to run this past. It was a response to your letter on the June 25th. It says, we can understand your concern about getting a Social Security number before you begin work. The Internal Revenue Code 26 USC 6109 and applicable regulations and all that require an individual to get and use a Social Security number on tax documents and to furnish that number to any other person or institution, such as an employer or a bank, that is required to furnish to the Internal Revenue Service information about payments to the individual. There are a penalty for failure to do so. Okay? And it says Section 205 and blah, 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 because a lot of these guys have sat in their basements for years and tried to decipher this code. It says, of the Social Security Act requires the Social Security Administration to establish and maintain records of wages and of self-employment income for each individual whose work is covered under the program. Workers who do not wish to use their Social Security numbers or for religious or other reasons should get in touch with the Internal Revenue Service office in their area to explain their position and receive advice on how to proceed. We do not have the authority to require an employer to provide or deny employment or services to anyone who refuses to disclose his or her number. This is a matter between the individual and the employer. So they're requiring you to get the number, they just are controlling who you give it to. That is an overreach called from a supplier, folks. The people, and what I mean by supplier is this. Maybe we need to get into that. What is a supplier and what's going on? Especially with the government. The people that operate these offices, they need electricity. They need pens. They need paper. They need ink. They need, some of them need secretaries. Be nice to have a rug in the office, a desk, maybe a phone, lights, like a lamp, something to type on or write notes on, a place to go to meet that you're not out in the weather. Imagine a bunch of senators out there in a park. So what are you guys doing here? Well, we're meeting. We have no office to go to. How'd you get here? Well, I borrowed my son's bike, the bicycle. We rode out here and got that done. And I got my pants caught in the chain. So now I got to go get some more pants. I don't know how I'm going to do that because I don't get paid. What do you mean you don't get paid? The people don't pay us to do what we do here. They're refusing to support us. So they're using the love for our country against us instead of for us, by withholding from us and asking us to use our own personal private resources to serve them. That's called slavery.
That's an excellent example. Excellent.
And why do you say that, Tony? Because that's exactly what's happening to you. And myself and Stu.
Yep.
That's exactly what's happening. So we have a scenario in this government, the government of the United States of America, is no taxes. We don't charge taxes. It doesn't mean that you don't support your government. It just means that nobody's going to force you to support it, and you always have free choice and free will. However, there is a requirement for, a slavery requirement for supporting it. This government meets every Monday night. There's also calls on Tuesday night for question and answer. Wednesday, we have the T-Row show. Thursday is the Human Rights Defenders, which is a lot of work there because it also involves the courts and the clerks to do paperwork. And it's always a real joy when people start yelling at you. for why isn't this done? Well, number one, we don't charge taxes. Number two, it's too damn cheap to pay anybody for it. So that's what has to happen, folks. You have to, if the states want a fine central government that the people control, then you have to supply them with real, tangible property. Now, paying taxes doesn't give you any leverage towards anyone, because of the simple fact that you're just paying off the bill that you were to the supplier that were already supplied the resources to make the service happen. So to sit there and say, well, I pay their salaries. Not really. What you're doing is you're paying for a service. So this scenario is coming up. Watch this, guys. Okay. You go into McDonald's and you order a cheeseburger or a Whopper, whatever you want. And the product comes to you, and what happens? You pay for it. Now, does this mean that you can tell McDonald's employees what to do? No.
I don't think so.
Because all you did was pay for a service and a product that was supplied to you already. Your business with McDonald's is done. You can do whatever you want with whatever product you were given, the burger or whatever you can do. You can even throw that out in the street, and McDonald's has nothing to say about it. No one has anything to say about it except for somebody that doesn't want you to litter. It doesn't mean you can tell the McDonald's employees what to do. It doesn't mean you own them. It doesn't mean they serve you. See, when you go into a company building, they offer services. You don't go in and tell the company employees what to do. If you don't want the service, you leave. I'm sorry, your service sucks. I'm going to go. Y'all have a nice day. So that's what you're dealing with today. And this movement of, well, it no longer serves the people. Well, you're right. It doesn't, because it was never designed to serve people. It was designed to serve customers. You have to completely revamp everything so that it serves people. But the people also have to have the resources to supply the service, to redistribute to others that want the service. That's how it works. We can't explain it. I mean, can you guys explain it any differently?
Sounds like we just need more producers and ease up on the consumers.
Yeah, the reality is the reason that United States of America is perceived as runaway is because people on Main Street, people on in the local communities, they don't supply themselves with anything. So you, rather than going to, and rather than a town having 3 different butchers that can help supply, you end up with these national conglomerates, like Home Depot and Lowe's and things like that, where you're at the mercy of those entities because nobody's manufacturing. You use the lawn care thing. Nobody's manufacturing the lawnmower blade locally. So you're at their mercy.
Or the engine.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So people out of convenience, out of all this convenience, what's actually happening is it's building up to an inconvenience, because all you have to do is look around where you live, and you think you have a choice, but normally you have two of everything. You'll have two of major supermarkets, two of, discount stores, two of, some video store, two of home improvement stores. Those are your two choices that you always have. And because of those two choices, those are the people that are controlling your supply, they're controlling your services, and they're controlling your laws. That's why they're able to control, laws regarding your drinking water, or if you can catch rainwater or not, or if you can grow in your organic farming in your backyard, because you might put them out of business. They control all of that because you want life to be a little convenient. But what's happening is you're really actually painting yourself into a corner where the only convenience you're going to have is the convenience that they say that you're going to have. And anything else that you do for self-reliance is unacceptable, and you'll get repercussions from it.
Excellent point. We've got another part of it, which reminds me, it's called the Committee of the States. I was reading it the other day, and when I was doing some research on this and how all this came about and what the problems were, Committee of the States boasts of supplying the states with legislation. Why? Because the people didn't supply it. The people didn't write the law and send it to the legislature. So, since the people stopped doing that, the legislature says, we've got problems here we've got to solve. So they form the Committee of the States, and they're the ones that are supplying the statutes, the legislation to the state or to the states.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. Isn't there a cliche, something along the lines of if you don't, you'll be governed. The choice is whether someone else governs you or you govern yourself. Something along those lines.
Yeah, that is a principle that a lot of people have missed, and I do understand. People will have children and everything, and that overwhelms them. It overwhelms their lives. They're living vicariously through these children. Those children take over their life, basically. We get it. That's not a problem. But there's a lot of people that are not. They're just out partying and stuff and having a good time with their friends. That's Disney's line. Just hang out with your friends.
Can't go to the community meeting because there's a ball game tonight.
Yeah, but it's more cool to hang out with your friends. And that's what Disney pumps into their head all their life. It's okay to hang out with your friends. Your friends are most important to you. Just go hang out with your friends. So everybody just goes and sits, and then they call that hanging out. And that's what it's turned into. Now, let me give you an example of what this country is actually able to do. Back in the 50s and 60s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, the people used to provide the products for the customer. It wasn't so much buying foreign. Remember, it used to be all the unions over here would basically call Japanese products Japanese crap. Okay,
yep.
Remember that back in the day? It was all that crap over.
Oh yeah.
So, okay,
It was true.
It was. It is true, and I'll tell you why that's true. Okay, not just because we're going to say, oh well, it's junk, and we're going to be prejudiced towards Japanese products and want American products done. We're going to show you I'm going to tell you exactly why. I was talking to a salesman that worked for Tecumseh, and he admitted to me that the Tecumseh carburetor was specifically built to break down in 3 years. You only get 3 years of life out of a Tecumseh. And he says, don't tell anybody that. Don't tell anybody I told you that, because that's supposed to be a big company secret. And that's why you have to go back and buy all this other crap for the engine to figure out that your carburetor's junk. And all you needed was a new carburetor. That's going to break down in another 3 years. The engine's fine. That's why they don't like foreign suppliers.
Yeah, that's
now.
That's
some of the refrigerators that were built back in the 50s are still running today. That were made by Americans. You were going to say, Stu? I was interrupting you.
No, I was just going to expand upon that initial point. Yeah, the concept of designed obsolescence is a very real thing. Manufacturers pay people to figure out ways to construct something that will deteriorate, break down, or otherwise become, necessary to replace in X period of X window of time, 5-year, 4-year, 8-year. It's a very real concept.
And literally timed.
Yep.
Literally timed.
Yeah, and you can understand it when you think about the thickness of X product. The thickness. Okay, it gets worn away at such and such a rate for use, and then it becomes too thin, as an example. Or a plastic will chafe and dry up and crack over X period of time. These are very real. These are very real concepts that are brought into the manufacturing process.
You have, see, back in the day, you know how they have all these, or today, where they have all these safety ratings? Okay, back in the day, folks, I'm talking about 50s and 60s, you didn't need safety ratings. You were driving around in a tank. I'm not kidding. Those cars, you could hit them with anything, and it wouldn't hurt them. People would get into accidents hitting a tree, and everybody's worried that how'd the tree make out? They didn't ask how you were. So there's one product that the Indians in India make that was the best product. They still have it today. It's called the one-piston generator. And all you hear is bonk, 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 bonk. That's how it operates. It only one speed, and that's it. There's one that was running a generator in a subdivision, and please don't ask me where. I can't remember. It was the story I heard about back in the late 90s, because I was looking for this machine. And the piston's about, I don't know, 9, 12 inches in diameter. It's just one. And has been running, and they've never shut it off for 40 years. They never even stopped to give it any kind of maintenance. They just let it run. And it one speed. That's it. Doesn't go any further than that. They just start it up, and that's the end of it. They just let it go. It's a diesel generator. And those are the products that we're missing. That's what's happening. You want to know where the pollution comes in? It's these guys that manufacture products that are going to fail, and they know it. They fail in a certain period of time. Now, if you don't want to live under that kind of system, then you need to start producing and work with this government, the national government, or the government of the United States of America, the national government, to start back towards products that don't fail. Things you can rely on. You buy one refrigerator, lasts you 50 years. You don't need another one. And if you want another one, it's just because you want another one, not because you have to have another one. Or it's more expensive to change out the compressor than it is to buy a brand new one. That's ridiculous. And that's what they call a throwaway society. New York, Manhattan Island dump shiploads of garbage in the ocean every day. Every single day. Because it's a throwaway society. You get a box of cereal and you have paper, boxes, all this other stuff. And I'm not this environmentalist where I'm worried about people throwing away stuff. And I hope that you guys aren't the same way. I don't, throwaway is throwaway. It is what it is. I'm talking about where they do that specifically to make things break down, so you have to buy another one, you have to throw it out. That's stealing. Okay, that's theft when that happens. So, have anybody? I'm at my point.
Well, I would like to remind people that we like to start producing, some of, maybe they have a better streamlined way of doing something, or they have a new invention, or they want to get some project up off the ground. We do have the grant program. And if interested in more information, you can fill out the contact form. The web address is treasury.theunitedstatesofamerica1781.com. And, it's a grant program that offers continental dollars for producers. So don't forget to go to that website and look at that grant program. That's all I have.
Okay. And we still have our DOT that's almost worked out. How's that working out on the website, Stu? The DOT
coming together nicely.
Okay. And that's all going to work out and make sense on the website where it all flows.
Yeah.
And not where you have to take a class to work the website. That's where some of our problems have been. So we've been streamlining a lot of that, and streamlining a lot of our websites to make things easier, simpler for after this. This was coming in after the development stage. Once the development stage is over, then we go back through and revamp what has been developed into a smooth system. And so when people are seeing changes, that's what you're witnessing. So it's not like we're changing our mind and we don't know what we're doing. All that's happening is that most of the things that you see on our websites were in development at the time. And now we're going back through and connecting all the dots on each developing program or developed program. So don't freak out, folks. That's all that's happening that you're seeing. So if you see a lot of changes or this, that, you're not seeing changes. What you're seeing is 50 different developed programs all being put in together in one.
Yep, and getting fine-tuned.
Yeah.
Right, because we're responsive to the people.
Yeah, and it works great. Eventually, I would like to make it to where you can do your resident declaration, be able to upload all your paperwork, put in your request to become an American national, and when you push the button, it all goes to the court. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yep.
That's what I
Sounds pretty efficient.
Yep. So once the court gets it, you're automatically scheduled for an oath and affirmation. That's how I would like to see it, and it can be done within 2 to 3 days, rather than it takes us about anywhere from 30 to 40 days to get it done. Right now, it takes people a while to get all their stuff together and everything. But would love to get that type of system put together.
Hey,
At any rate, folks, what's that?
Well, I was just going to add also that if there's any web developers out there that are listening and would like to provide services for continental dollars, I mean, I think we would be open to some help, don't you think, Keith?
Always open to help. Always open to, for people helping. People don't, they'll think that we're not efficient or stuff like that. What you're seeing, folks, is just a bunch of a small group of people that are extremely overwhelmed. And that's what you're looking at. We're overwhelmed with the amount of work that it takes. Just a simple signature page on reignoftheheavens.com, the Reign of the Heavens Society post, that takes 15 to 20 minutes on a day, and that adds up after a while of just signature pages, and it has to be forwarded to the registrar and the Secretary of State. Because that's what it reads on the front page. It goes to those two, so it has to go there. And that's 15, 20 minutes a day. Just to sit and do that. And we don't mind doing it. We're not complaining. That's not what's going on. We don't mind doing this, but just understand that it does take time. Things take time, and you have to be patient. If you are I'm
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. That's all right.
I was just going to say the other principle that you want to keep in mind is that the government is made up of people, and it takes its marching orders from a body that is made up of people. And people have different wants, needs, desires, ideas, etc. So there's always going to be an element of transition. It's unavoidable.
Not to mention that it's also happening while this is growing. I mean, we've seen what a great response our articles and public notices have made, because the response and the amount of people signing up for stuff and wanting to be a part of other stuff. I mean, it's growing, and that's very exciting. But that's happening at the same time that we're fine tuning, websites and processes and procedures. So it's an exciting time as well.
Absolutely. It is. It's really been a lot of fun the last couple of weeks. And if people are behind, or if your paperwork's not being answered or something like that, just bring it to the Office of the Secretary of State. Let him know, and we'll find out what's going on with that. But just realize that things are being overwhelmed. And, they come, what's being processed comes in an order. So whatever order you were in, that's when it'll be processed through and moved through. So don't think that you're being rejected, or, oh, that must be a scam or a fraud. No, it's not what's going on. It's just people are overwhelmed. And we can only do so much in a day, and that's what gets done. However much gets done in one day is what gets finished, and then the next day it starts over again. And keep in mind that a lot of our people are not being paid yet. They are owed, but they're not being paid because we're having issues with a overinflated supplier in this country who wants everyone to be a consumer. So they can make more and more money and create more and more chaos, steal more minerals, and all that. So that's a Goliath, man. You got a real problem there. That's a huge problem.
Yep.
So that's the tort claim, folks. Go read it. That's what it is. We just explained it, the thinking behind it, and what's going on. And everyone knows it's true. Everyone knows it's true. That you got an overwhelmed supply. You have a overextended supplier because people don't. When they go to the store, and especially your millennials, they look at the package and they don't give one thought to how that package got there. They just get mad if it's out, if it's not on the shelf.
Yeah.
Do you have any more, Kellogg's products? Because you're all out. No. well, this store sucks. You know, that kind of...
Goes in the reviews real quick.
Yeah, it goes in online. You wouldn't believe what I had to put up with. You know, that's where those complaints start and everything else. They have no clue how all that stuff got on the shelf in the first place and how many man hours it takes to get that stuff on the shelf. So we need good products. We need stuff that'll last for years. And people know that when they buy American, it's going to be a little more expensive. You're damn right it's going to be more expensive, but it's going to last for years.
American made.
Do what?
American made.
That's right. You put American made on something, you know that thing's going to last you forever. It may be double what the other product is, but believe me, it'll pay for itself in a very short period of time. So we don't like what we're having to do as far as suing. I know the government doesn't like it. The people don't like having to do it. But when you're dealing with children, that's what you have to do. So there it is. And it's being served today. Anything else to cover, guys? Otherwise, the T-Row show is going off the air till next week.
Did we provide at the beginning of the show the link to the tort?
No. Well, it's on reinintoheavens.com.
Rain in the Heavens, yeah. The newspaper. Mm-hmm.
Right, and it'll say introducing a international tort claim. It's the last one that's there right now. It's fairly easy. So it's right on the front page. Fairly easy to sign. You can go read it. Everything in there has been researched to the hilt. Published. Every angle to that international tort claim has been published. Every way of looking at it and every argument against it or for it has been published. Over and over again. It's been well thought out, well researched out. Yeah, Tony?
Oh, no, I just wanted to add that don't forget that there's also a signature page for those claimants that would like to join the international tort claim.
Right, yeah, we covered that just a little while ago. We'll cover it again. It's right on the front page of the reinintoheavens.com. And you can read it. It's one of the headings. I think it's a signature page, international tort signature page. And you can sign it, add it to it. You'll get a copy, and you should get a copy in your email if you have the correct email on there right after signing it. And then you'll get another copy that has been sent to the Registrar and Secretary of State. And we'll keep a list of the names. And the copy that you did get, you can print out yourself as evidence that you are a party to that case. And you support your country. So thank you for listening to the T-Row Show. We're still looking for a jingle. We have a couple of ideas. We don't know if people are going to like them. We have a couple of ideas. Funny ones, actually. Funny jingles. Any last words, guys?
No, I'm good.
Same here.
Okay, thank you for listening, and we really, really do appreciate those that have subscribed to our page, to the page, and the government page, and subscribed or been listening to the T-Row Show. And if there's anything that you guys would like to hear about or know about, just leave in the comment section under the video, and we'll look into it. We'll take a look. If we have the research, we'll share it on the next program. So, not a problem. So, thank you for listening to the 8th broadcast of the T-Row Show. Have a good week.